bold and raw perspectives of local politics, important information which impacts our community, nation, and world, exposing truth, transparency, and getting to the heart of relevant issues that you just won't see in the clickbait media. And always keeping it real. It's the Michelle Tanner Podcast.
But I won't back down.
Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Michelle Tanner Podcast. I am super excited to have with me in the studio Eric Moutsos. Eric, welcome. Thanks for coming back on.
I know I only live like 5 minutes away.
I know. Yeah, you should be on here every week.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and I would.
I love it. Well, before we get into delving into all the awesome things we're going to talk about today, let me first give a quick shout out to Bella2 Medical. That's BELLATU medical.com right here in St. George. But we also have telemedicine visits throughout the country. Lots of amazing services, whether looking for maybe a second opinion on something, IV infusions, all things aesthetics, facials, chemical peels, cutting-edge laser treatments, laser hair removal. This month being November, Black Friday specials going all month long, so definitely check out Bella2 Medical. And also, Freedom Blends. What's your website?
FreedomBlends.com.
FreedomBlends.com.
Yep, get the Freedom Fuel bundle pack. It'll change your life.
Yeah, it really is awesome. I've got, actually, my family members bug me a lot of, hey, can you get some of that stuff from Eric? That stuff's so good.
Tell them that we live like in 2024 and just go to FreedomBlends.com.
Right,
It'll
exactly.
get right to them.
Yep, exactly. Well, awesome. So let's delve in. So I've had Eric on before. I feel like most people watching probably are familiar with Eric, but what I think is just so awesome about you, Eric, is you have this really compelling story of going from being a police officer for Salt Lake and an awesome police officer. You had a great track record, right? And then you go from being canceled and actually have your badge and gun taken away for, quote, discrimination, which, you know, maybe you can touch on that because that's simply not true, but you had to go through hell. Mm-hmm. And here you are now interviewing people like Donald Trump Jr., speaking with President Trump at his rallies. I mean, it's incredible. People like Elon Musk sharing your posts and thousands of people, you know, following the information that you put out. Tell us, like, what has that journey been like?
Well, it's been a roller coaster for sure. I'm thankful for Elon Musk, really, because people give him a hard time for being like part of the cabal. You see this crap, you know, he's one of them. And it's like in my opinion, if we do make it another 20 years, without Elon Musk doing what he did with Twitter, I think that was the tipping point of the election. I really do, because he allowed free speech and he brought back free speech. I'm even seeing it kind of opening up even on Instagram a little bit more, people being able to say things that would normally get hit. Right. Like immediately get hit with false info. You know, so, 10 years ago, I was in a dark place because I thought my life was over because I could never get hired again, you know, from like a corporate standpoint. They just look me up, even if they liked me. I mean, I had gone through like processes at corporate jobs where they really liked me, and I was like getting second, third interviews, and then all of a sudden, nothing.
Wow.
And then what's going on? Well, they just Googled you.
Right. And just quickly, maybe for those who don't know, what was the scenario that you were let go from Salt Lake Police Department?
Well, they took my badge and gun for discrimination because I didn't want to celebrate in the LGBT parade in my uniform. And so I had no problem doing security, and they took my badge. I mean, the irony, right? It's like, here, we are inclusive here. We're diverse here. Except
for you, Christian man, who doesn't want to celebrate
than us.
Right.
right? Then we're going to go after you and we're going to destroy your life.
And where's your religious freedom in that, to be forced to celebrate something that you don't believe in, that
That's
goes
right.
actually contrary to your beliefs?
That's right.
You weren't saying you wouldn't protect them. I'm
I
sure you'd
even
protect and
wrote
serve
an
anyone.
email to them that said, I love all people. I love gay people. I said that. I love all people, including gay people. But that's not enough for them. You have to think exactly the way that they think. You have to believe exactly the way that it's a forced religion. And the government has now become the forced religion in many respects. And these really liberal, cesspools like Salt Lake City.
Right. Well, it's interesting to see this flip now, though, where so many states are coming out against things like ESG, the environmental social governance crap that pushes this DEI. There's legislation being passed. There was legislation even here in the state of Utah, but even talks of nationwide banning things like this, quote, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which actually is the complete opposite of that,
It's
right?
racist.
Exactly. And now we have President Trump overwhelmingly being elected, and he's standing up there saying, we only recognize two genders in the United States of America, which is assigned at birth. So it's interesting to see this shift that I'm feeling. And it almost, do you think it's too good to be true? All of these appointments that Trump is putting in place, and this attack essentially on the deep state. Like, what do you think realistically is going to happen now that Trump is in?
Like real talk here.
Yes, real talk. That's what we're all about here.
I love the fact that the American people want to go this direction, but I really fear what we're basically poking every bear possible right now.
Yeah.
And so I believe right now we have to pray like more than we've ever prayed for the protection of this country, and we have to get back to being moral immediately. Like, if we don't use this time, this little window, because it's almost like Trump's kind of like you got the 7 days of antibiotics, right? And I fear that Trump is going to be like the 2 days of antibiotics, and then people stop taking it because they think everything's fine. And then it just comes like a freight train right back.
Right.
Because we think everything's fine. Oh, he won. We're good.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on a second. Like, we still have 1 million babies being aborted in America per year. We still have, do you know how many babies are aborted worldwide per year? Do you have any idea?
Millions.
100 million.
Yeah.
That's on the WHO website.
Wow.
So since COVID coming up in March, we'll have 500 million babies murdered in the womb. And so to me, it's like, well, how can we be protected by God when we're doing things like this?
Right.
It's so gross. So I believe this time right now is like one last, like, get your act together, turn to God, repent, or else we're going to get it harder than ever.
Well, not one issue alone of abortion and murdering our very own children is why I don't understand how any Christian could, with any clear conscience anyway, vote for Kamala, which obviously overwhelmingly Trump won. We're grateful for that. Trump isn't even as pro-life as what I would like him to be. So there's that frustration there for sure. But obviously he's doing more to protect life than the other party, right? And so how do you wrap your mind around, the Deseret News actually just put out an article within the last couple of days about the percentages of Latter-day Saint voters.
They're still there. The Deseret News is still a thing.
Can you believe it? They're still around, and they put out these statistics about, in fact, I'll pull it up so that I actually give the accurate statistics. But the interesting thing was that the Latter-day Saint vote here in Utah was lower that voted for Trump was lower than both in Nevada and in Arizona. So in Nevada, 79% of Latter-day Saints voted for Trump. In Arizona, 75% voted for Trump.
Yeah.
In Utah, 64%.
Yeah.
Voted
Well, that's
for Trump.
because of the Deseret News. That's because of KSL. That's because of the culture of the gospel of woke niceness. That's why.
Yeah.
Because they would rather have somebody, they would rather vote for a party that murders babies than somebody that's not as presidential looking as Joe Biden or Kamala.
It's mind-blowing to me, though.
but it
How can
isn't.
you be that stupid?
Well, it's because people have their heads buried in the sand. They don't understand the issues. They think that it's okay that we uphold this evil over here as long as this mean guy over here is not in office. And so then they're voting for, they're not even looking at the principles. They're not even looking at the politics behind or the values that they're trying to stand on. That's what I was trying to say in my speech in Arizona at the Trump rally, is that this isn't between Trump and Kamala. This is about freedom versus captivity.
Can we play that speech, actually?
Yeah.
Because I think it's just like a few-minute clip. Let's play that, because that was just recently when Eric
Couple
had the
weeks ago.
opportunity to actually speak on the stage that Donald Trump was at down in Arizona. So, yeah, let's dive.
Carrie Lake, we're getting ready to speak. She has a message to America.
My message to you is we are given an amazing opportunity right now to save our country. You know, just as our founding fathers.
All right, we'll come back to that clip. We're gonna fix it a little
Starts
bit.
at 44.
And so anyway, yeah, let's definitely listen to that, because I think, and I want to pinpoint a few things that you mentioned in that, the spirit of liberty. I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah.
And I would love for you to delve into, what is the spirit of liberty? What does that mean to you? And how do we accentuate that throughout our community and Utah and this country?
Well, you can't have liberty without morality. So the freedom plus bad decisions equals captivity. So I mean, think about in your own life when you've made really bad choices, sinned with your freedom, you're now in a spot where you're captive, right? So that can happen individually and collectively. Freedom plus good choices, or freedom plus morality, that's what equals liberty. And so that's why the scriptures speak about liberty so much. And that's why the gospel is liberty, is because you are now free to make good decisions to now have liberty throughout the land. But if you are stuck in iniquity as a community, like, murdering babies or socialism or whatever the case may be, things that go against the laws of God. Well, people are like, well, how does socialism go against? Well, because you're stealing.
Right.
Don't steal from people. That's a commandment.
Right.
Treat people like you want to be treated. So from murdering babies in the womb, what about wars? Like the endless wars that the radical left wants. What just happened here with Ukraine and Russia? This is Biden right now that's wanting to get us into a third world war.
Right.
It's like, where's the left right now? Why aren't they calling him out?
Right.
And so you cannot have liberty without morality. And so in my opinion, the kingdom of God, like the foundation of the kingdom of God, is liberty, which is you have to make decisions on your own, and they have to be correct decisions.
Right. You have to have that agency. That's with communism and
That's right.
socialism and all the things that the left pushes for. Forced charity is not charity at all. Just like you're saying, that is theft. And that's actually taken away my agency to be charitable.
That's right.
If you're going to forcefully take it from me.
Yeah, and so then it goes back to the war in heaven in Revelation chapter 12, which was there was a war in heaven.
Okay, hang on. Hold that thought, because I think the video is ready. So let's listen to Eric's speech, and then we'll get into Revelation, because that was actually something else I wanted to talk to you about.
Can you guys feel this today? This is the spirit of liberty that you're feeling today. And somebody said it earlier, but there are 3 words that you can tell that you're at the right rally. And those words are, Jesus is King. Yeah! America, we are at an ultimate crossroads. We are at war in so many respects. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 12, spilled onto the earth. And this is not just a physical war, but this is a spiritual war that we are in right now. And there are no more Plymouth Rocks to run to. This war isn't between Democrat, Republican. This war is not between left versus right, man versus woman, rich versus poor, gay versus straight. That's what they want you to believe. That is what they've been doing to divide and conquer. This is an age-old eternal struggle between freedom versus control. This is about an all-powerful, all-encompassing government and the ability to maintain our God-given eternal rights. This is truly between light and darkness and good and evil. And everything that the radical left touches dies. It is destroyed. It is a coalition of chaos. It kills families. It kills economies. It kills free speech. It kills real jobs. It kills security at our border. It kills millions of babies in the womb. It kills everything that is sacred and holy. 10 years ago, the radical left tried to cancel me and my family when I was a Salt Lake City police officer. They tried to force 5 of us into the LGBT parade in our uniforms. I asked to trade assignments to do security, and they took my badge and gun for discrimination. And I'm telling you right now, Salt Lake City, they tried to bury me. They tried to bury me. But guess what, Salt Lake City? I've only grown, and now I'm speaking at a Donald Trump rally. Most of us know that Jesus is the only way. Even Donald Trump himself has said over and over and over that Jesus Christ is the only way. However, there is only one person who can help save this country with the help of God, and that person is Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump will protect and provide more freedom so that we can ultimately choose God. And for those of you that are on the fence, in this spiritual war, C.S. Lewis once said, there is no neutral ground. Everything in the universe is either claimed by God or counterclaimed by Satan. You cannot sit this election out. There is no fence sitters. Why? Because the devil owns the fence. Let your voice be heard, every single one of you. In 2 Corinthians 3:17, it says, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. And so, to end where we began, the 3 words that can tell that you're at the right rally, Jesus is King. God bless you, God bless your families, and God bless the United States of America.
That is so amazing. Chills. What was that like to be able to be on stage doing that?
They talk about the imposter syndrome. That's what I felt. Have you ever heard of this syndrome? Like, you're like, why am I here?
Right.
But you know what? I was like, you know what? I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, I'm exactly where I need to be.
100%.
And I was so, I just thank God that I had the opportunity to say what I needed to say. And I felt like it's what we need to hear. We need to talk more about God. We need to talk more about repentance. We need to talk more about these things because the economy's great, right? It's like, okay, we got our economy back. We're great. But if we don't turn back and we don't start doing what's correct and right and good, we won't have liberty and then we won't be blessed. And so I think it's really important for those, on the right, I even hate to say that, on the right, that we start to truly do what we believe. Like, don't hate people. There's so many people, even in our camp, on our side, I don't know if you're seeing this, but they hate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 2 sides of the same coin when you talk about the hate that occurs on both sides. And I kind of expect it from people on the left because that's just, I feel like people that think that way, that have that ideology, are more prone to hate because they don't like themselves. And when you have issues with yourself, it's a lot easier to project that onto other people. So I've come to almost expect that from some, not all. There's obviously a lot of good people on the left and right. But in terms of that hate that I know you have experienced, I have personally experienced a lot of hate from the left, but also I, and maybe you as well, have also experienced that pure hate from people on the right. And
Right.
that's what really gets me sad, is when it's people who like, wait, we believe the same things. Why can you hate someone
Well, it's
because
the
you
dividing, it's like if we don't pull it together on these certain values, then we're gonna fraction off into these little ites,
right.
these
Yeah.
little groups,
Yeah.
to where we will have zero power because we will have zero influence. Now I know you have to be standing on proper footing, right?
Right.
Like with our elections and with all this stuff. But if we turn and we are using the same kind of dark energy going, and look, there's times where I've crossed over that line and I've gotten personal with people. I've had to apologize to people personally,
Right.
but I can hate the things that people do, and I can hate the values that they try to stand on, but still love the person
Right.
at the end of the day. And if we're not doing that, then we kind of miss the whole reason why we were doing this to begin with,
Right.
right?
Well, and that really brings me to here in Utah, because that's my concern here in Utah is, are we fracturing ourselves so much that we are going to lose that strength? As, this isn't just a quote Republican Party issue, but in terms of conservatism and liberty, those things that we value, are we losing ground when we are so quick, some are so quick to start burning the whole place down?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How do we overcome that here, especially in Utah?
Well, I think you go directly to the person that's doing it and just say, hey, do not go after our own people. Like, we're not all, there's no possible way we're all going to agree 100% on everything.
Right.
And so why focus on, that one thing that somebody did that you didn't like, and then we start fighting with each other. And it's
Right.
like, stop it. This
Yeah.
is why the left is so freaking successful most of the time, because it's like, hey, we're getting behind this and we're all going, go, 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 go. And they
unite behind it.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But it works for them because they know how to organize, and so we need to do a way better job at that.
And I agree too, where you're saying it has to come, the motivation, underlying motive, it has to come from a place of love. And even in these elections, honestly, when elections become so personal because you hate something so badly that, this candidate or this person did, you can hate the action, yes. But when it translates into, you now have these hateful feelings toward an actual person, I think we need to check ourselves on that and come back to that underlying motive being love. And I
That's
think
right.
that's ultimately how we will prosper.
Yeah, and I try to look at it like this: like, if I die tomorrow and I cross through that veil, whoever comes through that veil next, we have to have a place in our heart to be excited that they came through too, or vice
Yeah.
versa. Like, we have to have that kind of love to where you don't have any unkind feelings towards somebody else that God has forgiven for whatever they're dealing with.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters.
absolutely.
And so to me, I'm trying to do a way better job of how I battle, just basically on the values and principles without going after people personally. Because when I do that, I feel like crap.
Right.
I really do. Like, I feel like, gosh, I just crossed that line.
Yeah.
And so then we've kind of missed the boat. And I know I still will. That's the thing. That's what's crappy is I know I still will cross the line, but I'm trying not to as much.
Right. Well, we're all human, but ultimately we get further even with our cause that way too, because I mean, who wants to come to the table or come more to our side or way of thinking if we're constantly attacking them as a person? It's like it's just going to push them further in the opposite direction. Even from
That's
a
right.
strategy and a psychological standpoint, we would do ourselves more favors on our side if we're doing exactly what you're saying. We speak the truth. I think that's why you have so many people who follow you and look to you, and your example is because you seek truth and you speak truth. Are you always going to be right? No, of course not. We're all human, but I think people are gravitated toward that light and that truth, and it's not always popular. You know, sometimes we're going to make people mad on both sides, right? But that's got to be the focus, is truth.
Well, and I try to turn people to Christ. I really do, like in my posts, because I'm a sinner. Like, don't follow me personally, but I try to like, hey guys, like there's something way more than this.
Right.
And this is a war. This is the war in heaven spilled onto the earth. We have to choose these. Like, this is our time. This is our time to choose liberty.
Right.
That it really is. Like love, light, truth, liberty. It's all the same thing. It's all one. It's all the same.
Yeah.
It's Christ. And so we've got to wake up as a state of Utah. We need to completely overhaul this whole election, this whole thing. If we do not get that power out of lieutenant governor's hands to oversee the elections, we're done. We need to, in my opinion, get rid of SB 54. I don't know how we're going to do that because they have such a tight grip to where no matter which way you turn, they've got it.
Right.
And you're not in the club. And if you're not in the club, you know.
It's so tricky because I think we have a majority of the Utah House of Representatives, on the House side that would be willing to overturn SB 54. The Senate, I think, is a little bit trickier. But then on top of that, you have the, quote, count my vote people who people are concerned, well, if we overturn SB 54, then the count my vote people are going to just go out and do a ballot initiative. And it's all about the marketing, right? They're going to market that they're trying to cancel your vote. They're trying to cancel the primary.
The problem is they're going to undercut themselves in the end. Do you know what I mean by that? By not allowing a true, honest convention with true conservatives.
Right.
Even though they don't like us, we end up being right in the end.
Right.
On all of these things, they're going to end up, our state will flip blue.
Yeah.
It will.
Oh, yeah.
Because
no
then
doubt.
the money will win.
Yeah.
Just like it's doing right now. As society continues to go further left,
Right.
these senators that don't like it right now because they're not popular to the people that are actually paying attention, they're going to lose their jobs. And then this state really will flip blue. I mean, it just at the very end of, are you just now done counting votes today? Like, my goodness, gold standard.
Right. Yeah. We are the gold standard, don't you know?
Oh my gosh. Now that we're finally done counting votes, we did end up, and congratulations to Phil Lyman, 200,000 write-in votes. That's a big deal.
And that's the highest in history, right, for a statewide race.
Yep.
In all of the United States. Is that correct?
Ever. Yeah. The
Wow.
one before that was like 140 or 130. Wow. And that wasn't even that wasn't a well-funded thing. That was just kind of like,
right.
Boom. And so that was awesome. But in the end, like if we do not get rid of this system where these people can come in with their money and I don't even want to get into the whole signature stuff.
Well, I just was going to say, do you believe that Governor Cox is a legitimate governor? I know there's some lawsuits still going on, and I know the Lyman campaign is pushing for the Supreme Court to hear this case sooner than later. But what are your thoughts on that?
I believe the reason why they've wanted to keep them private is because they know there's not enough votes. And the company, allegedly, there was a lot of fraudulent signatures. What about who's going to jail for that?
Right.
So to me, the whole thing needs to be overhauled. The whole thing. Is that ever going to happen in Utah? I don't know. I think that's why I try to focus on culture stuff.
Right.
Try to teach like what it is that where we're going with this. But I really do fear for the state of Utah's political future.
Yeah, and I think that really should be, like we were kind of talking earlier, where, yes, everybody is thrilled that Donald Trump won by a landslide on the national level. We have control of the House, the Senate. Now, are all of those, quote, Republicans actually Republicans? No, so there's obviously still some concerns at the national level, but it's great that we have that sweeping majority. But yeah, how does that now translate down to we can't forget or go to sleep about our local level government, all the way from city, where I'm at in government, all the way to up at the governor's race. So yeah, I'm with you. I think we need to still be so vigilant as Utahns and making sure that, like you're saying, we are setting that culture and having those relationships too, though, with our legislators and people in those positions.
I've had a relationship with one of these guys. I'm not going to say which one, for probably over 10 years since my story, and I do not agree with most of the stuff he does. I don't like how he does stuff, but I've had a relationship with him for probably, I don't know, 10 plus years, to the point where he would call. He's probably called me, I don't know, 15, 20 times. And what do you think about this? What do you think about this?
That's awesome.
Well, I think that this is crazy. And why would you do that? And it's like, to me, that's a very important relationship, to where people are calling you behind the scenes, asking you what you think.
Right.
On stuff.
And if you were just out there bashing that person on a personal level.
And I've still called him out. I'm a little bit nicer to him,
mm-hmm.
When I call him out.
Yeah. I'm sure you're not on there, though, saying that you're evil, you're the scum of the earth, you're, all of these personal hate-filled attacks.
Right. So I do think that those relationships are important if it's real.
Right.
And if they really want to change.
Right.
Because if it's fake and they don't want to change, then don't waste my time.
Right.
But if people truly want to understand, I'm all about it.
Yeah.
It's like, let's talk.
Right.
Over and over and over. Let's talk, because I'm going to show you this stuff. Like, there's a lot we need to do in the state of Utah. One thing I want to do, for example, is get rid of these. We need to have a state law that says American flag and Utah state flag, and that's it. Because they're flying trans flags in schools still, LGBT flags.
In the schools.
Mm. Oh, I just got a message from a teacher up in Summit County.
Wow.
That there's a trans flag flying in a teacher's class. And
Yeah.
so what I want to do is create like a traditional family flag, and then give them out to free to whatever teacher wants them, start flying them. The left's going to freak out.
Right.
And then, but my point of doing that is to say no flag should be there. If we're going to have these flags, then we should allow these flags.
Right.
Yeah.
And the American flag, it's all encompassing. It
That's
encompasses
right.
all of
And
all of us. We don't need to segregate ourselves.
So that's one of my goals, is to get a law passed.
Yeah.
So
and there was one this last session, but it didn't pass.
Yeah, but this time I want to get it passed.
Do you have someone who's sponsoring that?
No, but I'm going to work on it. I want to get something passed. But the only way is to push back with, something that's going to make them uncomfortable. Like a traditional family, mom and a dad. That's going to make people uncomfortable.
Heaven forbid.
Bigot. It's like but I think little things like that, it does add up, and that's how we change culture. Because if you change culture, then you can change politics.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Because everything flows down from culture.
Right.
That's why I don't run for anything, because they're like, you need to run for, why would I do that? Like, you need to talk about the culture, then the politicians will change to the culture because that's now pop. So we have to make things that are not popular popular.
Absolutely.
And,
Totally agree.
and when you do that, and when you can articulate, and people wake up to this craziness, it's taken years for higher officials in Utah to see that DEI is bad.
Oh yeah, our
That
own
this-
governor went from pushing that through, I think it was an executive order, one of his first ones to implement DEI, to now saying he's a staunch supporter of getting it out, and it's toxic.
It takes a little while for these politicians to see the damage
Right.
at first, because they're hit with all the people surrounding them with all the propaganda,
Right.
kind of like COVID,
Yep.
kind of like masks,
Right.
all this crap. And then once they realize they were used, then they're like, I'm not doing that. And it's like, well, why don't we just start with doing the right thing?
Right. And I wish we had more people in elected positions. There are some good ones, don't get me wrong, but COVID is such a prime example of separating who actually gets it and understands what is the proper role of government, who can actually see through propaganda
Immediately.
Mm-hmm. And even without knowing all the answers, I mean, people in those positions, their senses should have been going off the charts to say, no. We're not doing this. But very, very few, obviously, as we saw, were willing to do that, which is just
Phil
crazy.
Lyman was one of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was one of the first guys out with all of our rallies. You were out there. There was not too many.
Yeah, hardly at all. That's what motivated me to get involved, is because I saw, where are all the elected representatives? Zero. I held a protest, if you recall. You may have actually been out of town for that one, but in front of the hospital down here over the shot mandate, and very well attended. But it was actually right after I got elected that I held that protest. Very peaceful, probably 1,000 people there. And I had people criticizing me online. It is inappropriate for an elected official to be holding a protest. And I responded back. I said, it's inappropriate that every single elected representative in this state was not there protesting something that's unconstitutional being pushed onto their community. Immoral, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I do think that this people are waking up, and people are choosing where they want to be on the liberty spectrum.
Right.
You want to be a slave, or do you want to make independent choices? Because that's where we're at.
Yeah.
And that's what Donald Trump, what I was saying, he's providing. It's not a vote for him. That's what the media wants you to. It's a vote for more freedom to be able to choose the right.
Absolutely. I think that's really what this last 4 years now, speaking of COVID, has been about, is this awakening. And I think you've done a really good job bringing light to that and allowing others to see that as well. And as I was watching your video, I was flashing back to something that I wrote. Guess it's been about a year ago, but I'll just read it real quick. It says, God did not put you on this earth to sit on the sidelines. God did not put you on this earth to seek the accolades of men. We are not here to cower in the corner in the name of kindness or fear, or to be motivated by money or earthly power. We are not here to sit idly by for Jesus to come and save us. We are here to work hard, to experience, to grow, to love, to serve, to have joy, and to stand as a witness of Jesus Christ and seek none other than his glory. Jesus taught the two greatest commandments: love God, love your neighbor. Love rejoices in truth. Make no mistake, some of the opposition's greatest tools are complacency and apathy. Truth matters. In the battle of good and evil, where the devil owns the fence, I want there to be no question in God's eyes where I stand.
I love it.
So it just reminded me of that. Listening to your speech, I felt those same, chills and just feeling of, this is such a divine time that we are all so privileged to live in right now. So we're down to just a minute. I want your closing thoughts. Take it away.
Well, my closing thought is choose God. and choose the right. And when you speak up, you're going to get that opposition no matter what. But that's how we are prepared for this, for the next life, which is the most important, right? Like, we're getting prepared for that. And if we don't know how to speak truth now, we're not going to speak truth there. If we don't know how to lay it all on the line here, maybe lose a job,
Right.
then what's it all for? So,
Amen. Thank you, Eric Moutsos. Make sure if you're not following him, check out Eric, check out freedomblends.com, right? Awesome. Let's do it again soon.
thank you.
Thanks for being a part of the Michelle Tanner Podcast. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share. And always remember to keep exposing truth.
But I won't back down. No, I won't back down.
This has been a production from a podcast studio.